get rid of that. Let's try to do this. And now you will see that it's probably not going to process. It's not going to process because now the wireframe, it is 4 panels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels. It is 5 panels, but there is a 6th panel. There's a 6th panel that is not obvious, and this is all this outer perimeter. And down here, this is also a closed loop. It's a closed loop. It is the outer perimeter. You would never make a surface out of this willingly, but it is being calculated as well. So if you have a loop like this, it's going to be on how to detect, it will be found. But also you need to know on manual that you need to be aware of that. So on manual, if you put it on manual, we will do it by just excluding it like that. And now we're crossing out that entire loop, the big one, and you're getting basically the same result. And this is important for enclosures. So let me draw it in a little bit more recognizable way. Start. So I'm going to go to fixed edge. Curve. Something like this. This is maybe the bottom of your boat. This would be your cadre track. These are going to be the edges of the boat, maybe a few zippers. Okay, and now when we run it, it is going to try to calculate the inner one as well. So there we go. It's even processed it, and you will see it here. This is the big one. It's overlaid on top of these. So we just cross it out. We cross it out with an excluded line. This is so all enclosures, anything that's open on spray hoods as well, you will want to exclude it. Or you can try with auto detect. It will also probably work. This is just the resolution, as I said. If you put on high resolution, let's say, run it. It will be just fine. So this was the excluded line. Now let's check out what is a cable. The cable is, you will notice here, first of all, that there's a little bit of hollowing going down here. And this is because when we calculate the surfaces of the wireframe, we also apply the tension. So we apply the form to your model. And by default, this form is this number here. You don't need to know what it means exactly, but this is how we mark it. And this means it's just not entirely flat. It doesn't calculate this surface entirely flat. It applies a little bit of tension. And this by default is a very good number. You can use it for almost anything just for a start, and then you can go down on that. If you're using cushions, for example, then no, then you will want to put it all the way up to 1, which is completely flat. Let me show you. If you run it like that, it will calculate it flat, basically. And if you're feeling really conservative in your design, you can try it out like this. You can do it like this, but trust me, you're going to get much better results if you apply some tension. And how much, this is something that you need to decide by yourself with experience through projects, but with my experience and other testers' experience, this is a good starting number. So now you will see there's hollowing on these, but you will notice that these edges here, they're still maintaining the connectivity. They're being straight. They're not being hollowed out at all. This is because those are set as fixed edges. So this is where we introduce now the third. It's a cable. We just switch it to cable, and let's see what happens. Now we'll see some hollowing going on. You see that there's a disconnect here. There is some tension in those cables, so it's not completely hollowing it out, but it is a little bit. And you can see if we apply more tension, for example, you will get more hollowing. And this is the cable edges allow that. Let's see again. Now with the same amount of tension, if we switch it back to fixed edge, run it, you'll see that it will snap back. Even though the panels themselves are hollowed, the zippers are not. And you don't want that. You want zippers to be hollowed. Cable. And by the way, shout out to Dave Elliott for the phrase hollowing. So you can see now it's clearly being pulled in. All right, so this covers fixed edge, cable, and excluded. So what are seams? Seams are very similar to the cable, but there's one key difference. Maybe the best way to explain this is by drawing another loop here in cable, and we will draw like that. If we run that, you can see that we get the hollowing of the sides. This is now becoming a shade sail, and now you want to crank this up. The shade sails, they need to have curvature. So if you crank it up, you will get, if you lift these up, all right, so now we're getting a nice shade sail. It's already formed nicely. And these are cables. It doesn't matter if it's a single line, it's treating all of these segments as a single cable. We can also explode them. 4 cables, the result is going to be the same if we run it. But what makes this a cable is that along its edge, it's going to allow the material to tension inwards, but on the ends of the cable, there will be an anchor. So this is the main difference from cable and the seam. And now to explain actually what seam does, we will just like not do that because it will not work, but I can now draw here 2 seams. And what this will do, it will cut the shade sail in these 2 positions. And you can see now that it's creating also the bottom one. So we need to either, in shade sails, I think it's best just to put auto detect because it's creating the bottom loop, the outer loop. Let's run it again. With auto detect, it's going to remove the bottom loop. Now we're getting, just move this out of the way. Now we're getting the shade sail in 3 pieces. We can just quickly output this. And you can see when you explode it, it indeed is 3 pieces. So the seam allows form finding of these edges, but it doesn't have an anchor on the edge. If we would put these to be cables, can you guess what will happen? We are getting anchors on each of these. So that's what's up. That's the main difference between cable and anchor. Between cable and seam, I'm sorry. So when we use it on a place like this, it doesn't really matter because this is a fixed edge. So in any case, all of these edges are going to be fixed. So if you put a cable here, the anchor here is redundant. So we can put it, we might as well put it as a seam. We don't care. One little difference is that the seam is going to allow a little bit more of hollowing. There's no tension here. But if we put a cable, there's going to be a little bit of tension. Barely noticeable, but it is there, just for you to know. So now let's get back to this example. Just put this as seam, run it again. All right, there we go. So that's our shade sail. So this covers fixed edges, cables, and seams. And now this is a very simple example, but you know you may use it in whatever ways you like. You know, you can. What I started doing in my own designs is I started splitting up the panels with seams into windows and sides. You can do that. So let's say you just take let's say like that, that, make like that. You make a window. When you run this, you'll still get a nice 3D shape, but you'll get all the pieces of the window cut out. Something else. This was just a simple box cushion. And at this point, actually, let's move on to joins. We'll get back to assists. And I need a more difficult model for you to explain this one. So let's just go back to joins. So let's put this to manual. I'll run it. And now we're getting the box cushion, right? So now we're getting the top sides and this. All right. So join. What you can do with join actually is to, well, it's just joining two pieces together. So if we switch this to join, it's going to stay a fixed edge, but it will join these two loops. So this loop and this loop, it will join. So we run it. And there you go. Now you have a single upper panel, side, 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 and the bottom panel. And you can keep doing this. Switch this to join. Now we're getting the bigger upper piece, kind of overlaying on one on top of the other. So when you need to output it, you need to just side a little bit, but you can see the bigger one and the bottom one. And you can keep doing this. Also, you can do it like that. Now you will get one piece with all the sides combined, and the other piece is going to be the bottom piece. There we go. Of course, all the match marks are there. So that's the join one. And you can also, you can do it in a way that, let's say you want a box cushion, and you do want the size, but you don't want the seams here. But you need here the lines to be able to define the model. So we can join them. Well, let's say we want seams to be, here. So now you're getting a box cushion with seams in the middle.